Welcome to Elk Shape YouTube channel. Q&A number 16. This is where me, Dan, pretends to be an expert and tries to answer your guys' questions. Thank you for sending me emails. elkshape@gmail.com. Send it, I use it, hit me up. I'll send you at least a decal. At the very least, an Elk Shape decal. Here we go. Today, we are sponsored by Exo Mountain Gear from Boise, Idaho. Steve Speck and the boys. Go check them out. Lightest pack you'll ever get. Durable, strong. It's what I used. I've used almost every brand out there. I'm telling you. Exo Mountain Gear, the realest. The real deal. Wait till you see what they've come out with this year. They've rearranged a few things. They got a dry bag that you can unbuckle or unsnap or snap in. Super light. Love Exo Mountain Gear. And then Vortex Optics. Your blue collar hero glass, man. This is the best glass you can get for the money. Seriously, Vortex Optics, extremely affordable, durable, VIP, lifetime warranty. You break them, they're gonna fix them. And great company to work for, to work with. Love Vortex Optics, so check out my partners, and guys, thank you for making it possible. First question is from Jacob. He lives in South Dakota. He loves the podcast. It's not a podcast. It's a YouTube cast. His question's about shooting at elevation. He lives at 1,600 feet. What does elevation do to arrow flight? I was hunting around now 9,000 feet. Do you see much difference in arrow flight at different elevations? Of course, I brought a little target to practice, just wondering. And to add what you've said multiple times, I was shooting Schwacker expandable blades. Shot my bull twice at 15 yards. 4 inches of penetration. Won't shoot expandable blades again. Jacob Peterson. You know, Jacob, I learned the same lesson too. I shot expandables or mechanicals on elk, and I've done it more than once. That's how dumb I am. And I lost the bull more than once with expandables. Shooting elevation, I'm not like a physicist, but look, we know that gravity affects your trajectory on an arrow. So if you're shooting uphill or downhill, gravity has less of an opportunity to force your arrow to go down. That's why you have to shave yardage when you're shooting downhill and uphill. Gravity has less opportunity to affect the flight of your arrow. I think elevation probably does change the way your arrow flies. I always bring targets and sight my bow in at the trailhead. Did it last year in Nevada. And we were at 10,000 feet there, and I live at 2,200 feet. So yeah, I would not leave anything to chance. Murphy's Law, man. Like, anything that can go wrong will go wrong, Jacob. So yes, shoot your bow at the trailhead. Make sure your stuff's dialed. And even if you're at the trailhead and you're gonna climb another 3,500 feet up there, you probably better figure out somewhere in the backcountry to shoot. That's one disadvantage about backcountry hunting, is not being able to shoot your bow, and at least make sure that it's on. So yeah, it's tough, but I know guys that have come up with different clever ways to shoot their bow in the backcountry, and they bring little targets and whatnot with them. It's not a bad idea, but always shoot your equipment when you travel, especially if you're coming from lower elevation to higher elevation. I do think it does affect the flight of your arrow. Great question. All right, glassing and technique. Love what you're doing for the Q&A for people like us from Michigan. My friends and I are going to Idaho, over-the-counter do-it-yourself archery elk hunt. I was wondering if you could let us know as far as glassing with the spotting scope. I know there are a lot of variables to the question, but I was wondering about duration and where to look for. Let's just sum it up real quick. Phil, there's not a lot of places in Idaho where you're gonna be able to glass like other states for miles and miles and miles. If you're hell-bent on bringing a spotter, assuming you're going to backcountry, bring like a lightweight spotting scope. Vortex makes a great backcountry lightweight spotting scope. It's like a 30 mil. That's great optics. Or just bring bigger binos, like 15 by 50s or 20 by 56 kaibabs. It's just however much weight you want to pack in. But if you're coming from Michigan over to Idaho, especially the more north you go, or central to north Idaho, it's really thick. It's not basins like you'd think where you can glass, like maybe Nevada, Utah. But there are places you can glass, but I think if I were to head to any of those places, I would probably bring a little spotter and 10 by 42 or 8 by 42s and just glass, maybe even off a tripod, and then switch back to a small spotting scope. You can't see that far. It's all relative to what you think, but for elk, they're a big animal. Especially the time of year you're coming out for archery. You're going to be trying to locate them via, bugles and whatnot. So I hope that helps answer your question. Isaac Rickle, Dan, my question is this. How do you decide on what is the best place to set camp? I've hunted most of my life, but backcountry elk hunting is very new to me. A friend and I hunted Colorado 2016 for our first elk hunt ever, and we were successful. This was the scenario. We located the elk early morning about 900 feet below us. Due to fog, we could not see them, but we could hear them bugling. So instead of making a move on them, we decided to wait. We dropped in that evening and set up camp in the area that we felt the elk couldn't just walk right over us. There was elk sign everywhere. Once dark came, the elk moved up from below us and bugled outside our tents all night long. It was the best sleepless night I've ever had. The next morning we went to a clearing about 40 yards from camp, called in a legal bull that my buddy killed with his now at about 16 yards. What we did worked, but it just wasn't how we thought it would have played out. Isaac, I'm not sure what your question really is. It sounds like whatever you did worked. Success leaves behind clues. You guys were patient. You played the wind. And then, yeah, for whatever reason, when the elk get real crazy ruddy, they can bugle outside your tent all night long. And it is beautiful, sleepless sleep. But you got lucky there a little bit too. I mean, those elk get educated and they're going to be out of there. So I typically like to definitely camp out of the elk's core area. Like not where they're going to feed, fight, reproduce, or water, bed, those general areas, those transition areas. So if you can be on the fringe, that's cool. For backcountry, I think a good canopy is important to get you out of the rain. I think out of lightning, especially in Colorado where you're high. Places like Nevada and Montana, it's so diverse, it's just hard to say like a golden rule. But I think find somewhere flat with a canopy that's not in their transition, that's not in their bedding, and it's not in their feeding rut frenzy areas. But maybe I'm wrong. You guys obviously did something right there. And I've been in those situations where you have bulls bugling outside your tent in the morning. That's pretty sweet, albeit not very common. So that's my best answer for you. Next question, Max Cole. He says, Dan, appreciate the Q&A sessions. I'm a Washington-based, planning my first hunt out of state in Montana. I have two questions. First, when virtual scouting, what are you looking for besides north-facing dense slopes, wallows, grassy areas, and some kind of water source? Is there a way to estimate the herd population that a basin or valley may sustain? Are there certain features that you avoid besides roads? Well, I know I'm not a biologist, dude. I can't figure out like the elk densities in the area. I mean, you can pull up elk trails on Google Earth. If you zoom in close enough, you can see what's going on as far as elk travel corridors, things like that. But nothing ever beats scouting, boots on the ground. And if you live in Washington and you're gonna hunt Montana, Max, I really believe you need to take at least a 3-day weekend and get your ass over to where you're hunting the unit. It could be even just far eastern Montana, 9.5 to 12 hours from Washington. You should do that. If you're gonna hunt Montana and you live in Washington, there's no excuse to not at least scout one 3-day weekend, if not several, in my opinion, depending on how hungry you are for success. You should go online, get all of your top choices, hunches, things that you think the corridors, the prime areas, the core areas, and you should have a list. And you're gonna go in that and you're gonna cross them off in the summer based on where did I see rubs? Could I tell that elk rutted here before? Did I find wallows? Is there sufficient feed? Is there sufficient water? Is there escape routes? Is there north-facing slopes? How far am I from the closest road? Is this niche? Is this not niche? Things like that. So closest town, where am I gonna get gas? How long can I go until I need to go get more gas, or places to camp? If there's water, things like that. So live in Washington, hunt in Montana for the first time, get your ass over there and scout it out. Question number 2, when I call a biologist for the area I'm currently targeting, what questions should I ask that help determine whether that should be my #1 spot? Okay, get a hold of your biologist now. I've always had a difficult time getting hold of the biologist in the summer, especially right now. They've just done their counts. Depending on your area, like Montana, it's been a harsh winter. You need to find out like about mortality rates in the fawns, who was collared, does, what is the age class, what is the unit managed for? Is it managed more for density or is it managed for more trophy? What is the wolf density, especially in Montana, bear density, cougar density? What do they think is getting most of the mortality rate? Hunter success, anything that the biologists ask them about the reports. They usually fly over, ask them about their flyovers, how it went, what they saw, when they did it. Food sources, what they think the elk do for summer range, rut range, winter range, and start putting the map together as to, okay, the elk migrate, they don't migrate, they probably do migrate if they're in Montana. Hunting pressure from man, wolf, bear, cougar, car fatalities with animals getting hit, things like that. I mean, the biologists are going to have a pulse on the species and what they're doing. So that's the kind of questions I'd have, Max. I hope that helps you. Thanks for the question. All right. I think we're going to do like 2 more and then shut it down for number 16. This one's from Brian Fees. He said, I just saw your nutrition video on YouTube. I largely try to follow the no processed foods model. However, I love bread. I love peanut butter jelly sandwiches. Who doesn't? Cereal is a big cheat too. Raisin Bran and honey bunches of oats in particular. Is there a good bread I can cheat with? Is there a jelly I can eat? I'll be throwing out the Jif and finding natural peanut butter from your video, by the way. Yeah, so basically throw out the Jifs or the peanut butters that have like basically like man-made fats in it. We'll just keep it simple. If there's man-made fats, anything like starch, oil, something that's like corn syrup based, get it out of you. Get a natural peanut butter like Adams that you have to stir. I think you all should know that by now. That's just a good idea. Jelly, if you can make your own jam or get your grandma to, that's what we do, from huckleberries and blueberries, make your own jam. Listen to my buddy's podcast, Hunt, Health, Harvest, Ryan Lampers, Hillary Lampers, and listen how to can your food. As far as peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, a safe bread, maybe Dave's Killer Bread, the low calorie count, but bread's not gonna kill you, but I think you just need to like have balance there and limit your intake of bread. As far as cereal goes, again, high fructose corn syrup is in a lot of cereals and stuff that's made, so you just have to watch yourself there on cereals. A good healthy cereal, maybe just at a Raisin Bran, just get basic bran and maybe have almond milk on there as a treat. It sure beats ice cream or something. But man, live a little, Brian. Have a balance, have some ebb and flow. Eat clean 80% of the time, 20% of the time, eat what you want and have a little balance there. But man, you're doing great. Small baby steps towards the big picture. I think that's awesome. Last question is from Owen Hellman. Have you ever had a point in your life where you were not able to get out and hunt like you love? If so, how did you cope with it? That's funny you asked that, because right now, spring bear's rolling and I'm busy as all get out. I'm running a business, a small business. For those that don't know, I own a gym, CrossFit Spokane Valley. I'm also hired on as a firefighter for a nearby department, and I'm in training trying to manage that. I also have 2 little ones in diapers. I have a wife that doesn't hunt, so it's hard for her to understand that when I get a free second, I want to go head to the hills and shed hunt, scout for elk, kill bears, things like that. So it's all in good balance. I do tell you all the time, if you're serious about hunting and if you understand how short life really is, put yourself in a position to where you're self-employed or you have a lot of autonomy in the job so you can break away and hit the hills. Because I can tell you right now, even though I'm hired on as a firefighter and I have a gym, you will not see me at either places in September. You can fire me. I'm going elk hunting. Life is short and I will not miss the rut. So that's just a personal decision I made. The first time I went elk hunting with a bow, it changed me, and that's something I'm going to always do, Lord willing, health-wise. So, but man, if you can't hunt and you're doing your thing right now, the greater the sacrifice, the greater reward. So if you're in school and you just don't have the time or the funds, get your ass out in the woods after you get a 4.0 and you get that job, that dream job, and you make it happen for yourself. You'll get to hunt in the back end. You'll backfill with lots of time to hunt. Hard work does pay off. Discipline is freedom. Discipline yourself now to get good grades and to work hard, and you'll have the freedom down the road to go hunt as much as you can. Thanks for watching Elk Shape YouTube Q&A number 16. We'll catch you on the next one.